I think this was a very good initiative because child protection is a very wide, child protection is wide and needs very concerted efforts. So the workshop brought together different stakeholders from all over East and Southern Africa, just to share the experiences, to share the good practices. And in my opinion, there has been a lot of learning. There has been a lot of collaborations made in the few days that it has been. So I think it was a very timely event, and a lot will come out of it. Looking at it generally, or rather regionally, there's much that needs to be done, not forgetting much has been done. If we were to look at 5 years back, we were not where we are right now. There's been improvement in legislation. There's been more organizations coming up to address children issues. We still need more collaboration in terms of organizations that are working to protect the interests of children. There has been times where we work in silos. We in the NGO, CSOs, we work in silos just because of different interests. So I think it's about time that we come together and forge for the same cause, which is basically child protection. Yeah, so for me, it's the biggest thing that we need to do together is collaboration, partnership. Our strength lies in numbers, our strength lies in partnership. A child does not exist in a vacuum. A child belongs to the village. We are the village. So it takes each and every one of us to play their role, to ensure that this environment, be it the digital environment or even the offline environment, that it is a safe environment for the children. Looking at it from the legislative bit, we need development of laws in countries where we've seen that there lacks laws to protect children, and even in those that we have legislation that is insufficient and the gaps have been identified. It's a call to legislators to look at it now in the best interest of the child, with again the child's interest at heart, to have provisions that strictly cater for the child. So there's much that needs to be done in legislation, development, review, and even harmonizing. I'll give an example of Kenya, where we still have laws, for example, in employment that are not in conformity with, say, the Children Act of 2022 or even the Constitution. So harmonizing of these laws so that when you look at all the laws, they're all speaking the same thing. Without forgetting the digital space, online abuse, we know that it is cross-jurisdictional. It is non-territorial. So as a community, we need to come up with the basic standards, minimum requirements of what it entails to have children protected within our region, because a child could be being abused in Nairobi by a person who's in Tanzania. So this is just a call to everyone to come together and harmonize our laws to better protect children. The support that CSOs may need on an immediate is one, capacity building. We know that information is power. We could have all the resources, but as long as we do not have the knowledge, all this will be a waste. So a training of all the stakeholders, all these people who participate in the well-being of children in our communities, in our societies, to be able to know what their role is. Our law in Kenya provides that if failing to report a case of child abuse is actually abuse. So that shows that there is need for capacity building. The second support, or the second form of support that I'd look at, is financial resourcing. We all know that most of our governments lack sufficient budgets to fully provide for the needs of children in our society. So budgetary support, this is financial resourcing, as well as capacity building is what I'd call for as a two major supports that we need. From the workshop, one thing that has really come out clean is that access to justice is still, we still have issues with access to justice for children generally who are victims and survivors of abuse. Part of what I've been able to identify is that there could be justice. There are people who are willing to provide the services. There are pro bono advocates who are willing to render the services, but we lack that coordinating factor between the child who's in need and that pro bono advocate who is willing to give their services. So in as much as we keep saying that access to justice remains a problem, we also need a more coordinated approach to the whole issue of access to justice, but not to say that that is the only issue. On access to justice for survivors of sexual exploitation who are children, we have to acknowledge that technology will forever be ahead of the law, and the law comes in to offer redress to social injustices. So this is another call to the players, all the players, both in the justice sector and in the social workforce, to just ensure that they do what they can within their means. If you're a legislator, as you work on the legislation, have the best interests of the child. If you're a doctor, if you're a teacher, just a call to everyone to have the best interests of the child at heart as they do what they are supposed to be doing.